Turtles All the Way Down. Now, that is a really great name for a band, but it also happens to be the title of a John Green novel that's now been adapted for Max and stars Isabela Merced. Like most of Green's stories, this one leans heavily into the teen world while examining themes that aren't just reserved for that age group. So is this something that you're gonna want to watch? It's not easy being 17-year-old Asa, but she's trying to be a good daughter, a good friend, and a good student, all while navigating an endless barrage of invasive, obsessive thoughts that she cannot control. When she reconnects with Davis, her childhood crush, Asa is confronted with fundamental questions about her potential for love, happiness, friendship, and hope. In addition to Isabela Merced, this stars Cree, Felix Mallard, Judy Reyes, Poorna Jagannathan, and Hannah Marks, who also happens to direct. Now, the story follows Merced's Asa, who is a high schooler, and like many that age, she's got some fears and quirks that sometimes get the better of her. But unlike many of her peers, her obsessions and pervasive thoughts, they can become debilitating, making all interactions exponentially more difficult. Now, Merced works great in this role. Through a lot of this, we're inside her head, hearing her thoughts that are then augmented visually by camera tricks and effects that help to illustrate her point of view. And it quickly becomes oppressive and daunting, every worrying thought just compounding on the last until the anxiety threatens to rip her apart. And all the expressive emotions Merced delivers create a convincing mindset, and one that's mainly sympathetic, but also she's able to insert enough attitude to make Asa antagonistic at key moments. Now, like some of John Green's novels, this one has a mystery that kinda kicks off the story. It creates the impetus for Asa to reconnect with her longtime crush Davis, who's played by Felix Mallard. Now, the mystery, it isn't too heavy, but it is intriguing. Also, though, in true Green fashion, the mystery, it sort of falls by the wayside in the narrative, and then is all but forgotten, with the story shifting its focus onto Asa and Davis, and then Asa's best friend, Daisy. Now, I enjoyed the dynamics between the three. Although there's rarely an actual triangle of feelings or even interactions that are occurring, it's typically either Asa and Daisy or Asa and Davis, which then keeps Asa at the center of the arcs where she can create and partake in the most drama and emotional takes. Now, when the story focuses on the relationship angles, it flows well and it maintains a good level of connection, allowing for relatable conversations, conflicts, and romances to flourish and then sometimes explode in fiery messes. But when the story remembers that it had a mystery that it introduced, this is the weakest part, giving just minor focus and details to barely matter, but using up time within the narrative to explore avenues. And when the resolution of the mystery eventually comes, it's handled in an oddly nonchalant and awkward manner. I mean, it's almost like the story didn't know what to do with this part of the conclusion, so it just kind of drops it in our laps and says, here's the answer. And then we're supposed to get all giddy because, yay, the case is solved. Then it's just a rushed sprint towards the finish, neatly and tidily wrapping up loose ends. Now, there's a conversation between Asa and Daisy that I did find to be touching and wise. And this was truly the point the story was attempting to make. Thankfully, it did. The narrative just tried to bury it amidst unneeded and lackluster mystery. Now, the focus on mental health throughout the story, it is wonderfully handled. We watch Asa struggle internally and externally, but the storyline also provides for positive solutions to assist her. First, she's got a supportive mom, played by Judy Reyes. Now, Reyes can be stern, but she also shows a tremendous amount of concern and empathy for her daughter, all the while feeling helpless while trying to do her best to not smother or baby her only kid. And for parents, this can be a relatable situation and relationship, navigating through that awkward time when kids are approaching full independence and parents inwardly, and sometimes even outwardly, they freak out on the young adults and then let our own fears bleed over. Now, the film also showcases some of the benefits of counseling and therapy. This is also handled in a way that's supportive and positive, never to frame the patient like they're crazy or broken. Instead, though, working to provide tools that will last long after the therapy ends. Poorna Jagannathan portrays Asa's therapist, and I appreciate the tenderness that's employed in their sessions. I also like that through these scenarios, the film isn't preaching or commanding at the way people must act or go about receiving help. It just provides positive examples that help to make a safe space for discussion. Now, the film's just under 2 hours. It's not slow, but there are those head-scratching moments involving the so-called mystery. At one point, I did wonder out loud what happened to a certain character. Davis's younger brother makes some appearances in the first part of the film, and then he kind of disappears. No, I mean, that's not part of the mystery, at least for the story, but it was a mystery for me, but you know what, I just got over it quickly. I mean, he was obviously just not an important enough character to remain all the way through. But joking and silliness aside, I mean, the movie, it can be enjoyable with managed expectations. The characters come across plausibly, balancing the angst of adolescence with the maturity the mental health discussions require. Isabela Merced creates relatable dynamics with each of her co-stars, creating a world that feels tangible and real rather than one sloughed from the pages of a book. And the inclusion of a half-hearted mystery feels disingenuous and kind of like bait and switch, but thankfully, what the story switches to is more meaty, memorable, and resonant. There's no sex or nudity, some profanity, just a little bit of violence. I give Turtles All the Way Down 3 out of 5 couches. So if you enjoy John Green's stories, you're probably going to enjoy this one too. There's enough for both parents and teens to glean satisfaction. All right, so do you have a favorite love story movie? And while a lot of you know that I am really into rom-coms, one of my all-time favorites is What's Up, Doc? From 1974. Let me know yours, though, in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.